When Jesus therefore had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished." And he bowed his head and gave up the ghost. John 19, verse 20. Nearly 2,000 years of sacred history are contained in that cry from the cross, "It is finished." Or in the more accurate translation from the New English Bible, "It is accomplished." It was a cry of triumph, like the cry of a commando soldier who has smashed the last defense of the enemy and sees the forces of freedom surging through the breach into victory. Though he lies there mortally wounded, he dies peacefully, gasping to his officer, "Mission accomplished, sir." That was the meaning of our Lord's cry from the cross. Mission accomplished. The purpose of his life was fulfilled. The last defense of Satan smashed, and man delivered forever from the tyranny of evil. Christ on Calvary brought to fulfillment the plan of reconciliation which God had been working out ever since man first disobeyed him in the Garden of Eden. On Calvary, Christ brought God and man together, paid the terrible price of God's forgiveness, and consummated the new covenant between God and man, which would never be annulled. It is accomplished. With that triumphant cry, the Lord of glory bowed his head and gave up his spirit. In that sense, the cross represents the finished work of God. Yet there's also a sense in which the cross remains unfinished. We can say that something came to an end on Calvary, and that there on that skull-shaped hill, outside a city wall, a work of God was once and for all accomplished. We can also say, however, that something started on Calvary. For God, the cross represented the end, but for man, it represented the beginning. Ellen White wrote, "By transgression, man was severed from God. The communion between them was broken, but Jesus Christ died upon the cross of Calvary, bearing in his body the sins of the whole world, and the gulf between heaven and earth was bridged by the cross." And as always, think on these things.